If you have seen our previous videos analyzing Senegal's President Bassirou Faye's call for Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso to rejoin ECOWAS, you will recall that we made a significant observation at the end. Well, that prediction has just come true. Curious about what we observed? Before we delve into the details, be sure to subscribe to the African Web channel and hit the bell icon to stay updated with our latest content. While Faye was visiting Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, a source from Senegal's Ministry of Foreign Affairs revealed that his trip to these and other regional countries had two main objectives. Firstly, he aims to position himself as a prominent regional leader. Secondly, and the focus of our discussion today, is his effort to enhance negotiations with European countries. What does this signify? It indicates that while Sahel countries like Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso are choosing to sever ties with France and the West entirely, Faye is seeking to maintain a relationship with them, albeit one that safeguards Senegal's interests. This was substantiated recently when Faye made his first official visit to France and met with President Macron. Faye attended the Global Forum for Vaccine Sovereignty and Innovation in Paris on Thursday, June 20, 2024. The summit's goal is to grant Africa greater sovereignty in addressing its numerous health crises. The summit had two key objectives: launching the African Vaccine Manufacturing Accelerator, which draws on important lessons from the COVID pandemic and aims to empower African countries to produce at least 60% of their vaccine doses domestically by 2040, and kickstarting Gavi's replenishment campaign for 2026 to 2030. Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, seeks to improve immunization access in poor countries, and its replenishment campaign aims to secure financial commitments to fund vaccination programs over the next 5 years. During his recent tour of Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, Senegal's President Bassirou Faye aimed to establish himself as a regional leader and improve negotiations with European countries. Unlike other Sahel nations, severing ties with France and the West, Faye seeks to maintain these relationships to benefit Senegal. His first official visit to France, where he attended the Global Forum for Vaccine Sovereignty and Innovation, underscores this approach. The summit aimed to enhance Africa's health sovereignty by launching the African Vaccine Manufacturing Accelerator and marking the start of Gavi's replenishment campaign for 2026 to 2030. Faye also met with President Macron to discuss trade agreements, the CFA franc, and the French military presence in Senegal, signaling his intent to redefine rather than sever ties with France. Faye's efforts reflect his campaign promises to renegotiate Senegal's mining contracts, replace the CFA franc, and reset its relationship with France. Despite previous hostilities and his administration's anti-France stance, Faye's strategy focuses on creating a win-win partnership with the West, diverging from the path taken by other Sahel leaders like Captain Ibrahim Traoré. Historically, Senegal has depended on France for trade and security, making Faye's approach a significant shift aimed at balancing national sovereignty with practical cooperation. Initially, everyone believed that Faye intended to break away from France, unlike his predecessors. This belief seemed confirmed in May when Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko declared that Senegal's aspiration to control its own destiny was incompatible with the continued presence of foreign military bases on its soil. It appeared that Senegal was aligning itself with Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali, which had expelled French military forces from their territories. However, it seems we were too quick to draw conclusions. A closer examination of Faye's campaign promises reveals an overlooked detail. Faye stated that he intended to reset Senegal's relationship with France, not sever it. He envisioned a partnership based on mutual benefit, not a complete break. This means maintaining a relationship with France, but under a new framework that ensures a win-win situation. In reality, Faye is adhering to his promises. Since taking office, he has reiterated, "I will always be available to work with you, our European partners, towards a win-win partnership that is mutually beneficial to our respective people." Although the specifics of his recent meeting with Macron have not yet been disclosed, both leaders released a joint statement expressing a shared desire to rejuvenate the Senegal-France partnership. This renewed partnership is intended to be founded on mutual respect and balanced interests. In the coming weeks, we will learn more about whether any specific agreements were reached between Senegal and France. President Faye's approach suggests a deliberate effort to redefine rather than sever ties with France and the West, aiming to establish a partnership that benefits all parties involved. The The critical question at this juncture is whether this strategic shift will prove viable. Will France be willing to engage in a collaborative relationship that is truly mutually beneficial? Looking back historically, agreements between France and its former colonies have often been criticized for their perceived imbalance, with advantages disproportionately favoring France. One prominent example is the colonial pact signed between France and its 14 former colonies. Negotiated as a condition for their independence, this pact granted France significant control over the economic and strategic affairs of these nations. France secured the right to manage their foreign currency reserves, control their strategic raw materials, and maintain military presence with unrestricted passage rights. Additionally, the pact mandated that these countries purchase military equipment exclusively from France and allowed French businesses to maintain monopolies in crucial sectors like water, electricity, ports, transportation, and energy. Moreover, France imposed import restrictions on a wide range of commodities from outside the franc zone and enforced minimum import quotas for French goods. In light of this historical context, the challenge for President Faye lies in convincing France to embrace a new paradigm that truly fosters equitable cooperation and mutual benefit between them, rather than perpetuating historical inequalities. Apart from the colonial pact, subsequent agreements between not only France but also other Western nations and African countries have often been criticized for their one-sided nature. These agreements typically grant Western countries unrestricted access to Africa's resources in exchange for financial aid. However, reports indicate that the amount of capital extracted from Africa by the West far exceeds the financial assistance received by African nations. This dynamic underscores a perception that Western nations view Africa as a region to be managed rather than an equal partner capable of offering valuable contributions. In contrast to President Faye's approach of seeking to reset relations with France and the West, President Ibrahim Traoré and other Sahelian leaders have opted to sever ties with Western powers. They are actively pursuing relationships with non-Western nations such as Russia, China, Turkey, and Iran. For instance, severing ties with France has involved terminating defense agreements dating back to 1960 and expelling French military forces from the country. So the pivotal question persists: is President Faye's strategy prudent, and will it lead to success? Is resetting relations with the West preferable to severing them entirely? If Sahelian nations adopt Faye's approach, could it potentially mitigate insecurity within the region? These questions prompt us to consider the implications of diplomatic choices on regional stability and international partnerships. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to the African Web channel for more insightful discussions. Like, share, and stay engaged.